Well, good morning. Good morning. Nice to see so many people here. I got invited this time. Sometimes these things go on and I don't know anything about it until it's over unless I happen to see a lot of cars. I guess my invitation gets lost in the mail or something. But anyway, I was invited this time. And look at the children. I love to see children. I would rather watch children play than actually see a good show. They're so cute, and when they don't know adults are watching them, they do some of the cutest things. And there was once a little lad on a Sabbath day. He was coming home from Sunday school and dawdling on his way. He skipped his feet to the grass and found a caterpillar. Then he pulled a silky milkweed pod and blew out all the filler. A bird's nest way up in the tree so wisely placed and high was just another wonder that met his eagle eye. Now neighbor watched his zigzag course and he hailed him from the lawn. He asked him where he'd been that day and what was going on. Oh, I've been to Sunday school, he said. He carefully turned the sod and found the snail beneath it. I learned a lot of God. Well, that's a mighty fine way, the neighbor said, for a boy to spend his time. Now, if you tell me where God is, I'll give you a brand new dime. Quick as a flash, his answer came. There was his accent faint. I'll give you $1, mister, if you'll tell me where God ain't. So he went on in the house, and his mother greeted him and said, well, son, what did you learn in Sunday school today? Oh, the teacher was telling us about how Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt. When they got down to the Red Sea, he radioed for the engineers to come and build a pontoon bridge across. When they got to the other side, they looked back and the Egyptians were just coming up on the bridge. No problem for Moses. He just pulled out his cell phone and called for the Air Force to come and blow up the bridge. So his mother said, well, son, are you sure that when the teacher told that story? No, mother, he said, but if I told her it her way, nobody would believe it. So the next morning, being Monday, he went off to school, and his dog followed him, made it all the way to the classroom before anybody stopped him. The teacher scooted the dog out and closed the door. Well, the dog couldn't figure out what was happening. He went everywhere with his master. He laid down, looked up at the closed door, and started whining, and God stood there beside him. He leaned over and patted the dog on the head and scratched him on the ears a little bit and said, don't worry, old fella, I don't understand. They won't let me in there either. So that's the way it's growing up. Time marches on and children grow up and people grow old. But I don't worry. Old age is golden. At least that's what's been said. But sometimes I wonder as I go off to bed with my ears in a drawer and my teeth in a cup, and my eyes on the table till I get up. I look around and I say to myself, is there something else I should put on the shelf? But when I was young, my slippers were red and I could get as high as my head. As I grew older, my slippers were blue, but I could still dance the whole night through. Now I'm much older and my slippers are black. I huff to the store and I puff my way back. But I don't worry, I don't mind it at all. I'd rather be huffing than not puffing at all. I get up each morning and I dust off my wits. I pick up the paper and I read the obits. If my name isn't there, then I know I'm not dead, so I eat a good breakfast and I go back to bed. Now, how do I know when youth is all spent? Might get up and go, just got up and went. But in spite of it all, I can still grin when I think of where my get up and go has been. But you know, I don't think I would want to be a young person again. I don't believe I would want to be growing up in today's world. Gosh, now, I'm not talking about some of our young people. We have some of the finest young people here in the United States you find any place in the world. But unfortunately, there are some young people that move around like lost sheep. They seem to be looking for things, and they don't know what they're looking for. And some of them will do some of the weirdest things to attract attention. Now, I don't mind seeing the pretty little butterfly tattoos or roses or mother. But have you seen some of those scary tattoos? Ooh, they really just scare me. It just seems like the kids just really want to get attention. I've read the paper where some of them even paint their hair pink. I guess these actions seem so strange to me because I grew up out in the country on a farm. In 1929, when the Great Depression started, I was 9 years old. I was the fourth of 8 children. No one in our neighborhood had any money. Most of the men, like my father, besides farming, they had a low-paying government job. But I look back on those days as some of the finest days of my life. We had all the food we needed to eat. We grew it right there on the farm. We had plenty of eggs and milks and vegetables. Entertainment, we entertained ourselves. A farm kid could always find something interesting to do. In the summertime, we'd go swimming in the creek. And in the wintertime, we'd go to the movies. Do you know that in the 1920s and 1930s, you could go to the movies all Saturday afternoon for 10 cents, if you could find the 10 cents. But we picked blackberries and strawberries, and we'd glean the garden to see if there was a cantaloupe or two left through. Our neighborhood and our farm was just off of the old US Route 1 that goes from Maine to Florida. And we could set up this roadside stand, and we'd get 15 cents or 2 for a quarter for our cantaloupes. And our strawberries sold for 10 cents a quarter. We thought we were rich. On Sundays, we went to church and Sunday school. Sometimes church lasted all day long back then. We'd have dinner on the grounds. It just seemed like there was always something going on down at the church or at the school. They were the center of all our social life. And drugs, we didn't know a thing in this world about drugs. Drugs was something you got at people's drugstore if you were sick. I mentioned this to a friend of mine the other day, a man I grew up with. I said, you know, we didn't have any problem with drugs when we were growing up. Oh, he said, Gussy, I had a big drug problem when I was growing up. I said, you did not. He said, oh, yes. He said, I was drugged to church every Sunday. Not just for Sunday school, but also had some day for preaching. He said, if I was disrespectful to the teacher, the preacher, or the dog, I was drugged out to the woodshed for a little bit of that applied psychology. He said, if I uttered a profanity or told a lie, I was drugged to the kitchen and had my mouth washed out with soap. I was drugged to the home of neighbors and friends and relatives to perform some chore like cutting the grass or weeding the garden. And if my mother found out that I accepted one dime as a tip for these kindnesses, I was drugged back to that woodshed again for a little bit more of that applied psychology. He said, these drugs are in my veins today. They make me who I am. They affect everything I do or say or think. And I believe that the youth of today had this type of drug problem. This just might be a better world. And I believe he was right, don't you? And just remember that growing up is mandatory, but growing old is optional.